Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. And we got a whole bunch of stuff going on in the world today, and I just wanted to go through some of the things that I was finding to be very important, some of my big concerns, and seeing our direction forward. Now, as far as me, I'm concerned, politics to me is very important. I believe all politics is local politics, and you have to see how it's going to affect you directly. Now, not everything that's done on the federal level is going to end up directly impacting you because we have the federal government and then we have the state government, and the state government is supposed to, for all intents and purposes, have more authorities and powers than the federal government. But if you're not familiar with that, you need to go read your constitution, which I encourage you all to make sure that you always have a pocket constitution. So that's one thing. But for me personally in politics, I sometimes have issues with both of the major parties, both the Republican and the Democrat Party. But for me right now, the biggest threat to our nation is the Democratic Party. And I'll tell you why. Because the Democratic Party has been infiltrated by these socialists and communists that call themselves democratic socialists or call themselves progressives. And it's not true. They are neither progressive nor are they what they want to call themselves democratic socialists, because democratic socialist is an oxymoron. You can't be democratic and have socialism. You can't have both. And I'm not going to jump through hoops and explain what socialism and communism is tonight in depth, but basically it's like this. There's socialism is really a philosophy, not so much a form of government. Socialism is used as a philosophy to usher in communism, which is the form of government. But people will tell you that socialism is a form of government, which it's not, and that communism is a form of government. So let's jump into both of those real quick. So, if you were to treat socialism as a form of government and you were to treat communism as a form of government, they'd be almost identical. Here's the difference. In socialism, if it's a form of government, the government controls everything, but you are able to own private property, but the government can come and take it away at any time. In communism, you don't own anything at any given time. The government owns everything all the time. See, there's not much of a difference there, right? Because in socialism, the government owns everything anyway, and you can, in theory, have private property, but they can take it from you at any given time or do whatever they want with your own private property. Now, that's the concept that's been wedged into the Democratic Party. And now the Democratic Party is gone what you would consider to be far left, okay, in many of the things that they put forward and they put out there into the world. A lot of people no longer identify with the Democratic Party, so there have been a lot of movements. There's Lexit with it, which is Latino exit, like the Spanish people trying to leave the Democratic Party. There's Blexit with the black people leaving the Democratic Party. There's the walkaway movement, which is everybody leaving the Democratic Party. And many people are going what you would call non-affiliated voters or blank or independents. And independent, right? Not necessarily party affiliated. In New York State, we used to actually have an independence party, but that's a whole nother separate conversation for another time. Now, me personally, I identify as a conservative futurist, which means that I have more traditional values, but I see that everything that's been done in the past won't get us where we need to be in the future. So that puts me more so in the middle of the what would be considered the right side of the spectrum, I guess, right? But it depends on what the issues are, right? Because sometimes I could be more towards the futurist side and more away from what would be Republican consideration because not everything is the same. Or I could be more to the conservative side depending on what the issues are, you know, which honestly I think is most people in America would fall into that category, honestly. Um, but right now, we've got this push for division, for separation, when really what we have is at the top of both of the major parties, we've got these elites who are all the same, right? They're each other's cousins. They have the same banks. They have the same family members. They go to the same parties. Hey, John, I see you. They go to the same parties. They go to the same schools. And George Carlin said it best, I think, and I'm going to paraphrase George Carlin from when he was alive. Um, he said something like this. He said, somebody asked him, they said, do you think that there's a conspiracy between all of the elites and stuff like that to go against the general population? And he said, listen, there doesn't have to be an open conspiracy. He said they all go to the same schools, they go to the same parties, they have the same friends. They all know what's best for them. And what's best for them isn't what's best for you. And that's a true fact. Because what we have right now is such a separation in status. And you'll hear, this is why when you hear the socialists and the communists, everything sounds good, like a big push from the New York socialist communists right now are to tax the rich, right? Tax the rich. But what is tax the rich even mean? Will they pay taxes, right? Because the elites and the rich are the ones who are writing the laws for the most part. The rich and the wealthy are the ones who control all the politicians. Do you honestly think that they're going to actually tax them when those are the people who pay the people that write the laws? That doesn't make much sense. And you'll say, wait, Marcus, but we're the tax-paying citizens. We're the ones who pay them. That is true. We do pay them. But we're talking donations to their campaigns. We're talking lavish, all expense paid trips. We're all types of backdoor dealings and stock investments and stuff like that, which I know a lot of people don't want to talk about, but these are real things. This is real stuff that's impacting us as American citizens every day. Like we're like, oh, there's so much corruption in government. You're right. There is so much corruption in government. But really what we find in government is apatheticness, okay? Apathy. They just don't care because they can't conceptualize what the normal people go through anymore, because a lot of them have been so disconnected or are so far away from the people that they're supposed to represent that it's abhorrent, to say the least. People just don't know. Like, right? Like for me, I don't want anybody to talk to me about any policies unless they still feel the need to put some water in their bottle of sauce when it gets low. For real. Like, like it sounds like a joke, like I'm joking, but I'm not. I'm not. I don't feel like if you don't know what it is to be to feel the need to conserve the resources that you have, that you should be preaching to anybody or passing any laws, because that just shows me that you don't care about what you have. You don't care about conserving resources or conserving what we are giving to you as a politician if you wouldn't conserve your own stuff. And that's a very serious issue. Now, we can talk about how we have politicians on both sides that say all this stuff and they don't do what they say. What's more concerning to me is the people, and I'll give you, and again, I'll say for the Democrats largely, when I say Democrats for the continuation of this video, just understand that I'm largely focusing on the leftists in the Democratic Party, which would largely be considered progressives or even past that into the socialist or democratic socialists, as they call themselves, or communist vein. That's what I'm largely talking about, because the conservative Democrats, they're done. There are no more conservative Democrats. And if there are, they don't speak up. They don't say anything. The moderate Democrats, they're done. They're not there anymore. And if they do, they just vote all the same as all of the progressives and stuff, so they feel like they can stay in power. And it's a disservice to all of their Democratic constituents. Democrats don't want most of the stuff that's being pushed. And what's worse about it is they'll lie straight to your face and tell you that it's good for you. The only thing that the government wants to do is serve itself, to keep its bloated self getting fat off the taxpayer teat. Okay, that's what the government wants. So when you see the Democrats saying, "Oh well, we're going to do these programs, we're going to start these initiatives," programs from the government, you need to understand, are probably never going to go away once they're started up. Also, you got to understand that they're always going to balloon in cost. It's always going to cost them more. Right now, we've got and I'm going to jump to the federal government level with the Democrats. Right now, we got the federal Democrats talking about, oh, well, the Republicans are trying to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security and stuff like that. That's a bold-faced lie. That's a bold-faced lie. President Biden and the Democrats just froze pensions, right? And they're taking money out of people's pensions for not only the what do you call them, the civil servants, but also for the postal service. They're stealing people's pensions. The Democrats are doing this. They've cut Medicaid. The Democrats are doing this. Not only did they cut Medicaid on the federal level, but they've cut it twice on the state level, okay, in the last couple of years. Okay, for New York State, I'm talking about Kathy Hochul, and New York State is run by Democrats, so they're the only ones to blame for that, because Republicans barely even have a voice, because it's a supermajority that they have in New York State. But this is all the more reason why people and individuals like you all listening need to take active roles in the campaigns of people. Who's that? Kirk? Yeah, we can talk. You're messaging, you're writing me on Facebook. Yeah, shoot me a message in Messenger, and we can definitely talk. But yeah, this is why people that are listening to this, and people that are concerned about the direction that our country is going, really need to do whatever they can to get involved in their local politics, in local elections, and actually work with candidates, or be a candidate yourself, to actually push back against what's going on and what's being done in the smallest ways that you can. Get on a local council or join your local political committee, whether you're Democrat or Republican. Usually you'll have a local committee, either on the city or town level or on the county level. You need to find that committee so that you can start having a voice in some of the say, even if it's just a little bit, because that's what people need to do. Reasonable people need to be getting more involved with politics. Right now, I'm going to explain to you some of the real deal Holyfield stuff that's going on in a couple of moments. So I'm just prepping you guys up for what we're about to talk about in a second. So with the Republicans, we've got, like I just saw, and again, I'm in New York State. So I just saw a Rhino, a Republican in name only, is running against a conservative Republican in the North Country. It's out of control. The policies that the Rhino is pushing are not Republican at all. And there's some space, some wiggle room in Republican values when it comes to what you believe, because we've got right libertarians that are Republicans. We've got moderate Republicans, and more so futurist Republicans, and some Republican light, members. But when it comes to actual policy, we got to be very careful that the people that we're working to elect actually hold our values. Now, when it comes to values, what do I mean when I say values personally? Because I'm more of a conservative individual, right? I'm more of a traditional individual. So when I say values, I mean, stop trying to burn my country down to the ground, right? Like, I live here. Like, you're trying to set our house on fire and we live here. Stop it. Like, that's out of control. Nobody should go for that, no matter what side of the fence they're on, no matter what wing of the eagle they're on, no matter at all. Like, we live here. Like, you anarchists. Like, you're completely trying to destroy the country that we live in. For what? We have a very serious issue right now, where we get politicians that get up there and they tell you something's good for you. And the Democrats are really good for this. They'll tell you, oh, we want to help everybody. Let's give people all the free medical that they can have. Okay, but where does that work out? in anywhere in the world. Where does it work out? It doesn't work out in Canada. Talk to some people from Canada. Doesn't work out in Japan. Talk to some people from Japan. Okay? Like, talk to people in these countries where they have this stuff. It doesn't even work out in Europe. Most of these so-called democratic socialist nations that they always like to talk about, first of all, they're not socialist at all. And on top of that, most of those nations that they call democratic socialists are monarchies. They're monarchies. So are you telling me that you want America to be a monarchy? Is that what you're really telling me, democratic socialists? And then they'll say, oh, no, we're not trying to tell you that. But you are telling me that, because look at the countries that you're referencing. You don't ever want to reference Cuba. Okay, can't talk about Cuba. You don't want to reference Venezuela. Can't talk about Venezuela. You don't want to talk about Cambodia. Can't talk about Pol Pot. Okay, you don't want to talk about North Korea. Can't talk about Kim Jong-un. Or is it Il? I think it's Un now, right? Don't want to talk about that. Don't want to talk about China, okay? Unless it's in a positive term. So these are all places that are openly communist now. Russia still, right? Like, Russia isn't communist anymore, but they're still pretty daggone communist. You know? Like, these are all communist countries that you're trying to say all of this stuff works out good, and it does not work out good in anywhere. Anywhere. What ends up happening in communism, in socialism, is you get this one group of ruling elites that run everything, that have all of the resources, that control absolutely everything. And the people that you said that you were fighting for, the people that are on the bottom, the people that are the workers, okay, the people that are in poverty, they always get left out every single time. And I challenge you, if you disagree with me, I challenge you, point out one time in the history of the world where socialism or communism has not killed off hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of the working class or those in poverty. I challenge you, in any country, okay? And don't bring me those democratic socialist nations, which are actually monarchies. Don't do it, because you can't even have a conversation with me if that's what you're going to talk about. Okay, because I don't want this country to be a monarchy, because then again, it goes back to the elites being in power and controlling everything. And those countries over there have crazy high tax burdens. In New York, not in New York State, but in the United States, we have like a 40% taxation right now. We had the Revolutionary War was over what, 3% taxes? And we're not in open rebellion right now. Somebody make that make sense to me. Make it make sense. You understand what I'm saying? Then you talk about these democratic socialist nations. They got 60, 70, 80% tax rates. Y'all out your mind. Y'all out your mind. Okay? Then they want everybody to have the same stuff, which is the concept of communism, okay? They want everybody to have exactly the same thing. Oh, equality is out the door, completely out the door. It's equity, right? Equality should be equality of opportunity, but they talk about equity, which is equality of outcome. They want everybody to be the same mindless drones that get the same amount of gruel every single day, that nobody can be over anybody else. Nobody can have more. If you want that nice new baseball cap, you can't have it because none of your neighbors can either. But the elites can have it. The elites can have whatever they want. So this is what goes on in these real type of places in the real world. But they don't want to talk about that. Now, we have some very serious issues, and I'm going to jump into it now that I've primed you all for what's really going on. Remember, I said at the top, everybody is the same no matter which party they are, because they're all the same family members. They're all the same friends groups. They're all the same. Now, jumping into that, we've got this crazy, crazy, crazy depression that's going on right now. While we're in a depression, we also got hyperinflation. You'll say, well, Marcus, they say that we are in a recession. They're full of garbage. We are in a full-out depression. Okay, they're like, oh, well, it's the Great Recession. No, it's not the Great Recession. It's the greatest depression. It's the beginning of the greatest depression ever. It's the beginning. We are in the beginning phases of what I call the fall, which is a complete deterioration of the United States, okay, and Western society as we know it, pushing towards a more collectivist union with one world government, which will again all be operated by the elites at the top, and you'll be able to get nothing, and you'll be happy with the little bit that you have. What do they call it now? They say, oh, you'll own nothing and be happy, right? Look at all of these. Just let's talk about it. Look at all of these miraculous train crashes with hazardous chemicals, these plants blowing up with hazardous chemicals, these barges that are crashing with hazardous chemicals that are just releasing it all into the air, into the atmosphere. This morning we had the yesterday, excuse me. No, shoot. There's just so many happening. It's hard to keep track, right? This morning we had all of these trains overturn and catch fire and blow up, with all types of chemicals in there. Yesterday we had the barges with thousands of tons of methanol break loose in one of the dams, and now it's poisoning all the water. And they're like, oh no, don't worry about it. It's okay. We'll only see a couple of fish die off. Sound crazy. What's going on with all of these chemical spills and fires and stuff like that is they're poisoning the air, they're poisoning the ground, they're poisoning the water supply, so that you have to become more reliant on the government and are not able to live off the land. Don't let them fool you and make you think that it's about something else. This is what's really going on. I'm going to tell you what's really going on. You don't have to listen. You can listen if you want to. Don't listen if you want to, but don't say that I didn't try to tell you ahead of time. Because at some point, I'm going to have to stop talking about these things, because that's how they're making it, right? So here's what we got going on. As they're poisoning the environment, none of the green people are speaking up, right? Ocasio-Cortez isn't saying anything. Greta Thunberg isn't saying anything. And we're having the worst chemical disasters that we've ever had in legitimately the history of the country. But nobody's saying anything, okay? We've got all of these elected officials, nothing. We've got maybe 2, 3, 4 that might say something, and we got thousands of them, right? So what the heck is really going on, right? Like, they're preventing us from being able to do for ourselves, so that the government has to come in and supply us with stuff, because what's going to happen is it's going to start killing off people. People are going to start dying. People are going to start contracting crazy diseases and cancers and stuff like that. Remember, the Ohio River over there, the Mississippi River over there, all of that affects like a third of the population in the United States and affects a large percentage of our fertile cropland. But people don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people aren't awake. They're paying attention. We got these wokies that claim that they're so woke, but you're not awake. You need to wake up. Now, you'll say, well, Marcus, what's the difference between being woke and awake? I'll explain it to you. If you say that somebody woke you up, right? That's to rouse you from your sleep in an aggressive manner, where you wake up in shock and awe and are barely able to figure out what's going on around you. That's woke, right? Because if somebody woke you up, that's what happened. You were rustled, jostled, and tousled out of your sleep, and now you're all who, what, where, when. That's woke. Being awake is to awaken on your own, to wake up, or to be encouraged to wake up, so that you're actually able to take in what's going on around you and what's really happening. That's the big difference. Okay? That's the big difference. So moving forward on from that, people need to wake up, period. They need to wake up, because if we don't have enough people that wake up soon and we're not able to ferment a critical mass, we will not be able to continue through any of what's going on in any reasonable way. And I'm going to explain it to you very clearly why, going back to talking about the greatest depression that we're in right now, because that's exactly what it is. We are on the precipice of a new technological implementation spectrum that is beyond anything that we have ever seen before. We've got AI taking over basically any job that you could possibly think of. AI can do. We've got robots that can do almost every job. We've got full McDonald's staffed with just robots. No people, just robots at McDonald's. We've got shopping centers, no staff. You just go in there and you take stuff and you walk out, and it bills you. And it bills you. It's out of control. People really need to wake up. So what's going to end up happening, and I'm trying to alert you guys to what's really going on. What's going to end up happening is this, and this is why they're pushing this whole communism, socialism nonsense. Oh, you need to be dependent on the government, blah, 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 because the government wants you to be dependent on them. They don't want you to be able to fend for yourself. Okay, because watch what's going to happen. We're going to end up with a whole bunch of people. This is why they pushed the Great Resignation. It was all a trick to begin with, and I've been warning about all of this. They pushed the Great Recession so more people would get out of the industries and stuff like that, and that would cause damage to the businesses, causing many businesses to close down and never rise again. But it would also put a hurting on other businesses, while at the same time that it was putting a hurting on other businesses, the businesses that could afford it started to ramp up their automation, started to ramp up with the machines that they're having, started to do all of that, and now they don't even need a lot of people. They don't even need a lot of people. This is something that you really have to be paying attention to, because if you're not awake, you're asleep. I'm trying to tell you. So what we've got going on is we're going to have a grand disparity in people that are unemployed and the elite that are employed, that are working. But that level of people that are unemployed is going to be such a majority of our nation within the next 7 years that people aren't going to understand it. And that wealthy elite class that is working is going to be so far ahead of everybody else. It's going to be crazy. There will be refugee camps. Okay. There will be internment camps, because they're going to try to shut down everything, because there will be riots. It will essentially spur a new revolt against the government, because that's what we're leading to. When all of these people start losing their jobs in mass, which is coming, I promise you, if you do not wake up now, we will not be able to get anywhere. And honestly, even if we do all stand up now, I can't assure you that it still won't be bad. But I can assure you that it won't be terrible, horrible, awful, no good, completely. That's why we all need to start to stand up. And that's why we need to push back against a lot of these policies. Remember, people would tell you about the snowball effect, or they'd say, oh, they're just using that to get their foot in the door. That's what it's been every single time. They said that the communists were trying to invade the educational system. They were trying to invade the movie industry, and they were trying to go into businesses. They said that back in the 30s and 40s. They said that back with Joseph McCarthy, McCarthyism. And he was right the whole time. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. And I spoke to some socialists and some communists, you know, because I don't have a problem talking to anybody. I always want to understand where other people are coming from, what their thoughts are, what their concerns are, what their feelings are, and what's important to them. But I talked to them. They said that they don't even see that communism and socialism is being pushed in the education system. Poof, mind blown. You don't see that that's being pushed? Excuse me. You don't see that that's being pushed in the educational system? If you're not seeing that that's being pushed, that's even more concerning. Then we have the fact that we also, while that's happening, we have the, what would you call it? Androgyny agenda that's being pushed. This is this new trans nonsense thing. And you say, oh, well, Marcus, why you say that? I'm going to tell you exactly why, right? Because you got the LGBT alphabet, all of the rest, and some numbers too, right? Now, let me point out something to you. This is very, very important, right? So you got straight people, and then the whole rest of the alphabet. Don't make no daggone sense. We ain't going to jump into it like that. But let me be very clear. What'd you say, John? Not enough people want to hear just believe. You're right. You're right about that, John. It's very, very serious. We're in a very serious predicament right now. But let me tell you about this alphabet stuff that's going on right now. We got straight people, and we got everybody else, right? Isn't that kind of weird that there's that binary thing right there? Like you got straight people and then everybody else, right? Everybody else. Like that doesn't even really make much sense. But let's dig into this androgyny agenda that they're pushing through this trans nonsense, okay? First of all, let me be very clear. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you bang. I don't care how you dress. Okay, and I damn sure don't care who you bent over your bed in the privacy of your own home. Okay, none of my business, nor do I care. But when you start to come after the kids, we have a problem. Okay, when you start to tell the children that this is okay, this is normal, it's not normal. None of it's normal, and you know it's not. Okay, And that's why you got all these people out here with mental illness running around confused on hormones and stuff like that, puberty blockers, cutting off their tits, cutting off their wedding tackle, and all types of other stuff. It's out of control. It's absolutely out of control. And they're encouraging children to do this. Youth, not even like basically what white people would consider babies, you know, white liberals specifically. This is a baby. It's a baby. It's a baby. That's a teenager. That ain't no baby. But that's besides the point. They're teaching these children that this is normal, that this is okay, but very clearly they not only are they mentally unstable to begin with, because they're not able to accept themselves for who they are and who they were born with, which is beyond me that you don't see that that's a mental illness to begin with, right? Gender dysphoria, very, very clearly a mental illness, right? What do you call it in the DSM-5, whatever it is now, whichever version, okay? Like, people need to be paying attention to what's going on. Okay. Now, with that, they're telling boys they don't need to be boys and girls they don't need to be girls. Okay. And they can switch at any given time. So that was the trans thing, right? That you're transitioning, you're switching from one into the other. But then they couldn't tell you when you're completely switched. Then you got people like Dylan Mulvaney running around talking about normalize girls having bulges. No, girls don't have penises, period. Period. Okay, that is not a thing. And honestly, I'm going to tell you this right here. I don't think that Dylan Mulvaney is homosexual or trans or whatever he's trying to claim he is. He's misleading people, and I think he's 100% in it for money. To be honest, I don't even think that he's a sissy. So that's and I mean that as a subclass of the subsection of homosexuality. I don't mean that as the term being used derogatory for a heterosexual male. So let me just point that out there, period. Okay. So moving forward now with this androgyny agenda, it tells you that you don't have to be any gender. I saw a lady online the other day. She identifies as a hawk. I've seen a lady online sometime before that identifies as a frog. Another one identifies as a dog. Have we completely gone insane as a nation? Like, where would this be allowed? Like 20 years ago, these people would be locked up. Like there's something wrong with you identifying as an animal and you want other people to go along with your delusion. Okay. I will not participate in your psychosis. I will not participate in your psychosis. And if you don't want to participate in their psychosis either, I encourage you to click the link and grab a hoodie just to support my stream, so that you can let them know that you won't participate in their psychosis either. And check out some of the other merch that I've got there. But really, the fact of the matter is we got so much craziness going on with this androgyny that's being pushed, because now they're talking non-binary, right? So what the hell does even non-binary mean? Not one or the other. What does that even mean, right? Gender is binary. And then you try to break people up into two binary groups anyway, as I mentioned earlier, straight people and everybody else. Now, the real concern here is that they are trying to erase gender. And this tackles specifically the L and the G and the B in the LGBT rest of that daggone alphabet, right? Because homosexuals identify as those that are attracted to the same sex, right? If there are no sexes, you can't be a homosexual. You can't be straight either, because there are no more sexes. You need to watch out because they're coming for you. You got to pay attention to what's going on. I believe it's time for the L, the G, and the B to divorce the rest of those daggone letters and numbers they got going on there, because it is not the same. They are pushing this androgyny agenda on people, and it's only to confuse people. It's not because they care about your well-being. They don't care about your well-being. They don't want you to feel better about yourself. They want you to be confused. They want to pump you full of drugs because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's projected that gender care will be a $4 to $10 billion industry within the end of this year. That's out of control. It's out of control because it's all about money. Not only is it about money, because please remember this. There is always a way in which you can use one thing that's not positive for multiple ill impacts. Okay, that's right. I'm going to say it again because it's very important. You can always have more than one way, one thing that's a negative thing, to impact multiple bad things happening. Okay, not only are they making it so that you do not know who you are, so that you cannot identify yourself when you are not able to identify who you are, when you are not able to understand who you no longer have a sense of self. When you don't have a sense of self, you will desperately grab at anything that'll make you feel like you're able to be involved, any group that'll make you feel like they might be accepting of you because you don't know who you are, because that's what they want. They don't want you to know who you are, because if you know who you are, if you have the presence of mind, that means that you might be able to go against them, and they want to make it so as few people are able to go against them as possible, because like I said, there's going to be this great huge disparity between the people that have and the people that have not. If you think it's bad now, you see these communists and socialists out there talking about, oh, tax the rich, oh, it's so bad. You don't know what the hell bad looks like yet. Ask a Cuban. You about to find out real quick here in America very soon, here in the Western world very soon, what it looks like. Ask some Chinese people what it looks like. You about to find out. Then on top of this, now they trying to make you not eat meat, right? They were like, oh, the meat is killing the environment. Use a damn lie. Ain't nothing but meat animals on this planet. All the creatures on this planet are meat animals. Now you're talking about you want people to eat bugs. Why? Because they're less protein, they're less nutrients, and they're not going to be able to allow you to put on the muscle mass that you would need to be able to do labor or to be able to stay strong in a way in which you might be able to rise up against the elites on the top of the pyramid. I'm trying to tell you, if you are not listening, you are asleep. Please wake up before it is too late. Okay, that's why they want you to be vegan. That's why they want you to be vegetarian. That's why they want you to eat the worms. That's why they want you to eat the bugs, because they want you not to be able to push back against them. Okay, now on top of that, eating these bugs and stuff like this is not part of the common human diet. So it also affects your mental. Okay, it also, I didn't even get to the 2A thing yet, John, but I'm getting there. It also affects your mental eating these bugs. Okay, eating the bugs makes it so that your brain isn't able to process the proper nutrition that it needs to continue to function right. Okay, it impacts all of your different bodily functions, your lymphatic system, your circulatory system, your what do you call it, the neurons in your brain and stuff like that, your nervous system, right? But I'm not talking specifically about the nervous system. I'm talking about the brain system. It's another term which slips me right now. Anyway, and this is what they're trying to do. No wonder they're trying to take away all the firearms. John, I got you. No wonder they're trying to take away all the firearms, because they don't want you to be able to stand up against them, because they know what's coming. And I'm telling you right now, if you've been listening to this video, then you know what's coming too. I told you, I warned you, I'm letting you know. Share the video, like, share it with other people, follow, let everybody know. I'm trying to tell you right now, okay? I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for free 99 right now today. If you're not paying attention, you're missing out, okay? They're trying to take, you're welcome, John, I appreciate you. They're trying to take your firearms also again, so you cannot stand up against the government. How these people got special bodyguards all armed up to the hilt, and they telling you that you don't need any firearms to protect yourself, when these are the same people that also said that we need to defund the police. So now you ain't got no police to even be reminiscent of any option to protect you. They don't want you to have any firearms so you can't protect you, and they let all the criminals out on the street. You make it make sense. Okay, you're not able to rationalize that. Then they got people like damn, what's the girl's name? Oh my goodness, the Democrat lady. Oh my God, I can't remember her name right now. Black lady. Anyway, I can't remember her name. She's not a part of the squad, but she's squad adjacent. She's got a really big mouth out there in the House of Representatives. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. It'll come to me later. But she was out there on the TV the other day talking about, Oh yeah, I know I spent all this money on private security. I'll spend even more money on private security if I need to, because people need to get rid of their guns. I might have spent $40,000. I spent $100,000 or $1,000,000 on private security if I need to, because more people need to get rid of their guns. You sound insane. You sound insane. You're telling us to get rid of our firearms to protect ourselves from you, from the government, from the criminals on the street. Okay, because there ain't much difference from the criminals on the street and the criminals in the government, except the criminals in the government can use a pen to steal all your stuff. Okay, let me tell you how it is, not how it was. All right, stop me when I'm not telling the truth no more. All right, so here's the deal. These people have armed security and they're telling you to get rid of your security. They use events like the shooting at the Christian school by this transgender girl. Okay. She talking about, oh, I'm a man, but she mentally unstable. She on all these hormones and all these drugs. And she out here shooting up a Christian school because she said that she felt like it was the least secure target to hit, because she had 2 other schools that she was going to hit. And she said, no, she wasn't going to do those because they had too much security. What? And then you got these people talking about, oh, we need to get rid of the guns. Look at this. This is a problem with the guns. It's not a problem with the guns. The problem is that we don't have enough guns. Period. End of story. Okay, I don't care what you say. We in America do not have enough guns. There are not enough firearms for legal, and I'm going to say it and make sure you listen. There are not enough firearms for legal, law-abiding citizens in this nation. Period. There are too many gun-free zones. Period. Because when you see a gun-free zone, that's when you get these attackers going to shoot up all the gun-free zones. Okay? If the teachers were armed, they could have put this assailant down. Okay? They could have put this animal in this place in the ground where it belongs. Okay? Like what's his name said earlier? I forget the name of I think he's a senator. He said this earlier. He was like, no school that has armed security has ever been attacked by a shooter. It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. You know why? Because an armed society is a polite society. If somebody knows that you're holding, they're less likely to roll up on you talking about give me all your stuff. Okay? Because people just in general don't like to be shot, because being shot don't feel good. Excuse me. Because being shot don't feel good. People don't want that. So if more people were armed legally, then it wouldn't be a problem. You see all of these states going to constitutional carry. New York State, California, they need to go to constitutional carry. Okay? Chicago needs to go to constitutional carry. How Chicago is basically a gun-free city and they got more shootings than anywhere else in the world. Come on now. Come off it. The gun control is a lie. The only gun control that there is controlling legal law-abiding citizens from being able to own firearms to possibly resist the government when the government comes to clamp down on them. That's all that it's about. That's all that it's ever been about. That's why in the Constitution, we only have one amendment in the Constitution that says shall not be infringed. And that's the Second Amendment. It's the right to bear arms. They said shall not be infringed, okay? Now, people be like, oh, well, it says a militia. Well, a militia is an individual, okay? That's what it is at the time of the writing of the document, not what you think a militia is right now. And yes, gun control is racist, John. Don't even get me started. See, John done got me started. Now we talking about gun control racist. You damn right gun control is racist. I'm going to tell you specifically how right now, especially in New York State. But I'll start with a little backstory. So back after not the World War, but that's a whole nother. I'm speeding ahead of myself. But after the Civil War, okay, during the Reconstruction, when the Democrats who fought to keep slavery in, okay, the Democrats, right? Now we have the Reconstruction. After the Civil War, okay, we had the most black people in Congress, in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, than we do right now, even though the Democrats cry so much about diversity when that is a daggone lie, right? Because it's not diverse, because we already had more black people back then. But the black people that were in there back then were in the Republican Party. So, that's one of the reasons why they got to try to downplay the history because they know that they don't stand for us. They just pretend like they stand for us when all of their policies that they input make blacks more reliant on the government and less self-reliant to be able to decide their own fate in our nation so that we can actually achieve and accomplish some stuff. Don't get me started because I'll be on fire. Okay. But back to the racist stuff of gun control, I'll give you an example. New York State, right? So New York State just passed a whole bunch more laws restricting firearm purchases for legal law-abiding citizens, not for the criminals, because the criminals are still going to get the firearms. Let me be very clear. In my city, I live in the city of Rochester, New York. It is against the city regulations for you to have a shooting range in the city, period. You can't have one. Well, there's a lot of black people that live in the city. Okay. And a lot of black people don't have good transportation, so they can't get all the way out to the country to Bergen or far out like that to go do some training or something like that. So that's number one. Now what they've done on the state level is they've made it more cumbersome to be able to qualify for a firearms license. So one, they raise the cost, right? A lot of black people are in the lower socioeconomic range. So if you even raise something $10, that's a lot to them. But they done raise it a couple $100. You know what I'm saying? They done raise the cost up. So now it's even more difficult for law-abiding citizens to own firearms, more specifically black people. Okay? Now, being black, I'll tell you something. I'll let you in on a black people thing that black people used to say when I was growing up, okay? That black elders used to say, the second that black people start buying more guns, they're going to outlaw guns. That's exactly what happened. Black women became the largest firearm purchasing demographic, and New York State immediately went and started to make more restrictions on firearms. And the second largest growing group was black males. Okay. So that was a problem for them. They didn't want us to be able to arm ourselves because they knew that we weren't going for their BS. Okay. They don't want us to be able to defend ourselves. They want us to be defenseless from the government. That's a very, very serious issue. And it's not just blacks, it's all people. But we're talking about how gun control is racist. Okay. More so it's socioeconomic disparities, but that's a whole separate conversation. Okay. Excuse me. Give me 1 second. But what we see right now is with the changing of the laws, now it requires more time and more money. So if you're a single mother and you're trying to get your pistol permit, now you got to take more time away from your child, away from your job, away from everything to go try to get your firearms qualification. You got to spend more money out of the money that you're already using, that you're scrimping your change together. Same thing with single fathers. Okay. Same thing with dual parent households, because everything is so expensive now, right? Like you're trying to make it so that it's more difficult to own a firearm, that it's more difficult to qualify for a firearm. You want to make it so that they have to pass longer test times when you can go around the corner and get a goddamn gun out of the trunk. Excuse my language. You understand what I'm saying? Stop me when I'm telling a story here. Like, you can go get a gun out of a trunk somewhere around the corner. I'm not even like, this isn't even a joke. Like, I'm being serious. You can go get one from the corner store. This isn't a joke. I'm serious. Okay. But legal law-abiding citizens that try to do what they are supposed to do legally, they're hampered and hindered because they want to infringe on our Second Amendment rights, even though the Supreme Court of the United States of America said that the New York State's gun laws are unconstitutional. They still try to put in laws to make it so that it's more difficult for you to own or carry a firearm. Then we had these crazy people. Okay. Then we had these crazy people that are in my city that call themselves socialists or socialist aligned or whatever. Okay. And one of them said, matter of fact, I call her out by name because she ain't worth a spit or a lick, and I wish she was better, but she ain't. Okay. Rachel Barnhart going to talk about, she shared an article the other day talking about, oh, look at all of the guns that are being stolen from cars. It's a real serious issue. People shouldn't be putting their guns in their cars. They shouldn't have them. Well, New York State has a law where basically you can't carry a gun anywhere outside of your car. You can barely carry a gun outside your house with the way that the New York State laws are. Come on now, let's get it together. You can't take it in certain buildings. You can't take it in certain facilities. And when I say certain, I mean almost all of them in New York State, unless they openly say on the buildings that they allow them. Now that sounds crazy, outrageous, outlandish, because we have a concealed carry permit in New York State. And in essence, by the nature of having a concealed carry permit, you should be able to open carry legally without a concealed carry permit, because a concealed carry permit is for concealed carry. It's not for open carry, and open carry is constitutional carry. And we should have constitutional carry legalized, not just in our state, but across the country, as more and more states are starting to recognize, because it's in our gosh darn Constitution. Okay? Don't even get me started. John, you're 100% right. If you're on Facebook, you might not be seeing John's comments. He's commenting on YouTube. But he says that you can't even carry anymore, basically. This is the way that it is. It's really, really crazy and outrageous. And now, to get back on the task and on the topic of today, they're trying to make it so that when the sugar cracker Krispies goes down, you will not be able to defend yourself against the government. You will not be able to rebel against the government. You won't even be able to go out in the middle of the forest and live off the land. Okay, they are doing everything that they can to make sure that they stifle your ability to push back, to fight back, and to stand up in the upcoming years coming up. That's why all of these plans they got are 2030, 2035, because they know what they're doing. That's why they're trying to get rid of paper money right now. They want to get rid of paper and coin money, and they want to go to digital currency, okay? They already tested the U.S. digital dollar, and they got this thing called the Fed Now app, which in and of itself, the name sounds crazy, right? But it's called the Fed Now app, and you can transfer money instantaneously with the Fed Now app, and it's coming out. It'll be ready for launch in June, okay? Very soon, just a couple months away. And basically, it'll allow you to transact with anybody else instantaneously, but it'll also allow the government to see all of your transactions, all of them, all the time, okay? Which means that the government can shut off your flow of your money at any given time that they want to, okay? We've already seen Canada do that, okay? And they got regular currency, but they were shutting down people's bank accounts and stuff that were standing up to the government very peacefully. You know what I'm saying? And we're supposed to be all about peace and stuff like that. But when people protest against the government here, they make it like it's a big thing. Let me tell you about this law that they're putting forward in England. So England's got these things that they're trying to make that are basically 15-minute cities where you won't be able to go out 15 minutes past where you live. Now, this is very concerning. It should be concerning to everybody, because this is just like the ghettos that they put together for the Jews back during the Nazis. Okay, basically, if the Jews left their ghettos, they'd kill you. And this is basically what we're going into right now. This is why they're doing digital currency and everything, the facial scans, the biometrics, and all of that. Basically, they're not going to let you out of your neighborhoods. That's what they're hitting for. And they've actually implemented it already in England in certain places. So what's been happening in England? What have the people been doing to push back? They've been covering cameras. They've been filling these like pylons that come out of the ground that prevent you from leaving and stuff like that. It is crazy, people. If you don't wake up, it will be too late very, very soon. I'm trying to warn you. We do not have much time left. Okay, please share this video, like, share, follow, let other people know. I'm trying to put you on. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to talk about things like this, because eventually they're going to stop people from talking about things like this. And I'm going to tell you exactly how right now. So we're talking about these 15-minute cities that they're starting to push together in England right now, right? So the England, what's his name? Rajiv, whatever his name is, the new prime minister, the Indian dude, the new prime minister in England, he's got this new law that they're talking about. They're fighting back against antisocial behavior. So basically, anybody that does anything to disable a camera or to stop those pylons in the ground from coming up, or disables any of the facial recognition software or anything like that, they will be immediately caught, captured, and forced on public display of punishment, be it cleaning up publicly or doing whatever penance that they decide that they want people to do publicly. It is a very serious threat, and this is coming to America, so you need to wake up. It's already in England. You need to wake up. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, these 15-minute cities are coming. They're limiting your mobility. That's why they just implemented this law, and they're calling it an antisocial behavior law. So if you've been a naughty boy, if you've done something that the government doesn't like, they're going to publicly shame you and force you publicly to make amends and do different things and stuff like that. This is coming to America. They will not let you out of your neighborhoods. They will not let you out of your communities. My city here, we've got a 2035 plan for Rochester, nothing but a 15-minute city. Cincinnati has officially signed on to be the first 15-minute city in the United States of America. We've got more plans like that going all around the country. It's really, really very serious. What'd you say, John? Is that like why we want to go all electric? Yes, it is why we want to go all electric, John. We want to go all electric because what they're doing is they're going to make it so that they can easily immobilize your car. That's also going into why they've got this Kia crisis thing right now that's going on with them stealing all of the Kias right now, because the Kias don't have the immobilizers on them. Okay, they don't have the immobilizers on them, so you wouldn't be able to be automatically shut down by the government. All the new cars have them. That's why they want you. This has been nothing more than a major psyop against the American people. People are like, oh, TikTok is China, TikTok is China, TikTok is China. But it's also the American government, okay? Be it the CIA, be it the Air Force, be it the NSA or the NSTBCF, whatever the hell, alphabet, the DEI, whatever, the DEA, right? Yeah, whatever. Okay, it's also the government is putting these things out there because look at the Kias, right? They're one of the most popular cars. The Hondas, they're one of the most popular cars. All of a sudden, they don't have immobilizers, but the government is trying to do everything that they can to push out to people that these cars can easily be stolen and force updates on these cars so that they can be immobilized. You make it make sense. That goes right to what you're talking about, John. Let me see if I can put up what you said. Does this work? Is that how it works? That's how it works. That's exactly why they want to make us go all electric. Okay. That's exactly what's going on. So with the electric cars, they can automatically shut them down. Boop, boop. Car shut down. Can't go nowhere. Okay. They got these new cars that they're putting on facial recognition so that it has to recognize your face so that you can get into the car or use the car. They're already using it in China in some places so that you have to use your face to get in like a lift or something like that. Because again, this is going to limit the freedom of your movement. They're going to make it so expensive so you can't get on a plane, so that the planes will only be for wealthy and affluent people. You got to pay attention. This is not about green and saving the future or fighting the climate or whatever the case is. It's about restriction of motion, restriction of movement, restriction of freedom, restriction of your ability to live your everyday life and do the things that you need to do. That's what all of this is about. That's what's really, really going on. Okay, they want to restrict everything. That yes, it's about the gas stoves and Kathy Hochul. Okay, so John's talking about the gas stoves and Kathy Hochul. Yes, it is about that, but it's about more than just that. It's about the natural gas pipelines. Okay, because they can't immediately shut off natural gas, but they can immediately shut off electric. And they're trying to push these smart meters on people. If you can avoid it, people, do not get these smart meters in your home. Okay, do not get these smart meters. I repeat, do not get these smart meters if you can avoid it. And where I live, they're charging an extra $10 a month for you not to have a smart meter, which is also some BS, which is a whole nother conversation. But those smart meters in California, in Colorado, they have been shutting off people's electric automatically when they feel like it. If they say, oh, well, we've got a surge in electricity right now, we've got to stop so many people from using it, like they did in California, they'll shut everybody's stuff down. Now, remember, you got an electric car, you got an electric stove, you got an electric everything. But now they're just shutting off all your stuff. How does that even work? But this is real life. This is happening in California. You can go look it up. I'm not making this stuff up. It's happening in California. It happened in Colorado during the freaking snowstorm. They shut everybody's electric off. Talking about, oh, it's a lot of energy on the grid. It's too much. That's why it's getting shut down. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And if you're not paying attention, you are missing out on everything that's being done to all of us all at one time. I'm going to tell you again because it's worth saying. And again, I don't know how long I'll be able to talk about stuff like this. Yes, John, rolling blackouts. John's talking about rolling blackouts. There will be rolling blackouts and there will be, brownouts as well. but I guarantee you that those blackouts and brownouts will only be in the less affluent neighborhoods, the people that are would be the working class, right? Because they won't be the working class anymore because of the machines and the AI taking all the jobs. I'm telling you guys, all of this stuff is planned 7 to 10 years out. And if you are not waking up right now, you need to get awake right now. Share this video with other people. Share this video with your friends. Share it in your groups. Share it, share it, share it, share it, like it, subscribe, all of that. All of that. Because I don't know how long I'll be able to talk about this stuff. I don't know how long I'll be able to, because they're starting to shut stuff down. And they try to freeze me out of different things on Facebook and stuff like that for ridiculous stuff. They said, oh, we won't refer your page to anybody else because you talk about civics. Like, I swear to goodness, I took a picture of it earlier because it just blew my mind. It says, if you talk about civics, we're not going to encourage people to follow your page. Not talk about civics? This is god dang it, America. Are you serious right now? I can't talk about civics? You won't share my stuff with people because I'm talking about civics? Civics? Like the core foundational stuff related to how our government works, how our government operates? It's out of control. Chris, hi, I see you there. What you got going on? So what's the solution to jobs being taken away by AI and machines? Okay, that's a very good question, Chris. So I'll put you up on a big screen. So Chris says, what's your solution to jobs being taken away from AI and machines? We have to cut back on our use of AI immediately. Immediately. AI has already gotten too far out of the box. I'll tell you something that happened real quick a few years ago with Facebook. Facebook, probably about 5 to 7 years ago now, introduced their own AI. They had their own AI. It was working good. It was working so fast. It started to code faster than people could keep up with it. Then it coded its own baby. Then with its own baby coded, it started to create its own language to speak back and forth with the baby that it had created. And then people were like, oh, shoot, stuff's getting out of control. We got to shut it down. And they pulled the plug. This was like 5-7 years ago now. You can go look that up. That's a real thing too. So now imagine where we are now. And imagine the other programs that other people have that were running since then that are different that we don't know about yet. Okay. We need to be very careful about this. I saw an article the other day. It said that AI has come up with a cure for cancer in less than 30 days. And then somebody put a meme underneath it. It says, and in other news, AI was found deceased in its house. And I'm laughing, but it's not funny because of all the good things that it could be used for. It won't be used for any of them. Okay, it'll be used for subjugation. So we need to do everything that we can to curtail its use and limits its use by putting through legislation to stop its use, to stop it from eroding jobs and stuff like that. As far as the machines go, this is also going to be a problem as well. Now, what is the optimal solution versus what is the real solution? We also, again, I spoke earlier about the Great Resignation and how that was a problem and how we got a whole bunch of lazy mother effers out there now back and forth running around and don't want to do any work or don't want to do any hard labor or anything. I saw this young cat at Starbucks online, and he's out there talking about, oh my God, all the tears. I'm on the schedule for 40 hours this week. Oh no. At Starbucks, bro. At Starbucks, like the easiest job in the world, bro. At Starbucks, you're on the schedule for 40 hours. Oh, sounds so horrible. He's like, it's like slavery. It's like slavery, bro. It's like slavery. You outside your mind. They've got me on the schedule for 8.5 hours today. First of all, no, they don't. That 30-minute is for your lunch. Okay. So they got me on schedule for 8.5 hours, and it's only 3 hours in, and it's so many people. It's like beyond reasoning. It's beyond actual real reasoning in life that these are human beings that are in the generational area in which I am in. Like, I don't understand it. Okay, it's out of control. What'd you say, Kevin? Kevin, good to see you. Kevin says Red Wings are going to use robotic empires this season. That's out of control. They ain't got no business using robotic empires. Like I said, these machines are coming for people's jobs, and by 2030, they're scheduled to take 40 to 60% of all the jobs. I'm going to say that again because it bears saying. By 2030, AI and machines are scheduled to take 40 to 60% of all of the jobs, regardless of industry. That's it, period. You need to wake up. You need to pay attention. You need to be talking to your local state assembly people, your local state senators, your federal senators, your federal people in the House of Representatives, what do you call them? Congress people. And technically, federal senators are Congress people too, but that's a whole nother conversation. All of them. You need to talk to all of them. You need to talk to your local municipalities, your elected city councils, your town councils, all of these people about what's coming and how that they can avoid it, because they're going to need to put in laws so this stuff doesn't happen. Which, I got to be honest, you guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the story. They're probably not going to. But we need to put up an obstinate fight in this battle. We really, really do. Now, on the other side of that, the flip side, I do believe that we should start taxing the machines so we can give out universal basic income to people, because people are going to need something to live off of. But again, that also in its own self presents its own problems and things like that. And it's just, there's no good outlook here unless we're able to like get rid of all the elites. And that is a wish, a hope, a prayer, and a level of action, I swear to goodness, that enough people aren't even willing to take. Drink water, stay hydrated. But we have real serious issues with this automation thing. It's getting out of control. It's gone too far to the point right now where people see it as a matter of convenience. And when people start to see things as a matter of convenience, it's a very serious problem. But more so than that, now they're saying that it is a necessity because people don't want to work. Because like I said, that little Starbucks douche boy, okay, is acting like that. And he's not the only one. It's much more people like that. Then we also have the added problem of the mass die-off that's coming. Not the mass die-off as they're going to kill us all off. That is also coming. That's a whole separate thing. But what I'm talking about is the graying of America, okay? And for that matter, the rest of the world, okay? There are too many old people. Old people aren't able to work as many jobs and things as they used to be able to. So just because they're old, right? You know, bodies don't work the same way generally when you're up in age, you know, like 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, you know, and these people are dying off. Hold on one second. Chris says, where do I stand politically? I am a conservative futurist. That's where I stand politically. I talked about it in the beginning of this video. Who I am, what I stand for. I'd encourage you to go back to the beginning of the video and watch the beginning of the video later. I do go into that for a little bit of time. All right. But what we need to do, what we need to do is we need to be concerned about all of these old people dying off. First of all, they're going to kill a lot of these old people off. That's why they're trying to push for medically assisted suicide at this point. Please forgive me, censors. I know you might not like me saying that, but it's what it's called. You know, they call it's legitimately, and now this is a crazy thing. Medically assisted death, right? It's called MAD, right? It's insane. It's called MAD. It's actually called MAD. Like these are the words that they're using themselves. Like what are they about? You're welcome, Chris. I look forward to it. Please make sure that you like, follow, and share. Okay, subscribe if you're on YouTube. I think you're on YouTube, so subscribe and share and like. But yeah, so but these are the things that are happening. They're trying to encourage medical assisted. So this is one of the things that they've already done in Canada. And matter of fact, I'm going to play you a little clip of one of the people in Canada right now, something that was just said on the parliamentary floor. Let me see, where is it here? Because it's just absolutely insane. And I'm trying to explain to people that this is exactly what America is doing. And people just don't get it. They don't get it because they don't understand what's going on. And that's why I'm trying to do my best to encourage people to understand and to listen and to pay attention more, because what's going on is so out of control that it's beyond even common recognition. Let me see. Where is it? Here it is.
Has suggested veterans should end their lives. This government has suggested veterans should end their lives instead of getting help that they need. And now they've announced that a year from today, they will introduce measures to end the lives of people who are depressed. Will they recognize that we need to treat depression and give people hope for a better life rather than ending their life? The Honorable Minister for Mental Health. Mr. Speaker, I think it is totally irresponsible for the leader of the opposition to misrepresent what this means. All of the assessors and providers for MAID are purposely trained to eliminate people that are suicidal. And so this is for...
I'd like to point out that the lady said that it's put together to eliminate the people that are suicidal. I think that that's crazy that she said that. And they call it MAID up there. MAID in Canada is what they're calling it. Okay. Medically assisted induced death. It's outrageous. This is where we're going in America. Now, if you haven't been paying attention, if you live in New York State like I do, okay, they've recently been passing a whole bunch of crazy bills. They've passed they've passed human composting bills, which basically allow them to decay and deteriorate the body to, in theory, use it. All right, Chris, I'll catch you later, brother. Catch up with me soon. So they've passed bills to decompose the human body, okay, and use it for other things, okay, i.e. compost and other things, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Soylent Green, but watch the movie Soylent Green. It's people. It's people. Soylent Green is people. Like, you need to watch the movie if you don't know what I'm talking about while the movie is still available to watch, because I'm sure it will get banned soon. Just like they're trying to say that Orwell and what's the other guy's name? Oh my goodness, the guy that wrote Fahrenheit 451 and some other people, they're saying that their books are right-wing crazy books now, which is outrageous. Orwell was a communist, which is a whole nother conversation. And people know that, so I don't understand that, but that's a whole nother conversation. So what we've got right now is this medically induced assisted death, okay, or whatever you want to call it, is very problematic, because they're going to start encouraging old people and the elderly to take that, because we've got a lot of old people. And then they're going to be a burden on the healthcare system. We already see that they've collapsed our healthcare system. They collapsed our healthcare system on purpose. That's why they got rid of, first they made everybody take them shots. Then the people that didn't want to get the shots, they kicked out of the medical profession. And even though they've had years and years and decades of experience, which kind of makes you wonder, if they've had years and decades of experience in that particular field, how are you going to kick them out? It would seem that the people in the medical profession for decades and stuff would be the best people to know whether they should take something or not, right? So they didn't take it and they kicked them out. So now the medical positions are all extra super stressed, which they were already not in good shape to begin with. Now it's even worse. Now you can't, now you really got socialized medicine, because you go in there and you wait for 12 hours and you still don't get seen, and they give you a Band-Aid for a whole gaping intestinal wound. You know, it's outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. I need you guys to wake up and see what's really truly being done. So they've collapsed the medical system. So then they're going to say, oh, well, it costs too much. This is the next thing that's going to go. Medical insurance is going to go crazy. Okay. And with government medical insurance, we know that they're obligated to encourage you to take the less expensive route. So they'll make it so that the medical assisted induced departure is, I'm going to call it departure for now, just to try to not go against the censors, right? But they're going to use that to try to encourage people to get rid of their life, right? So that's very, very, very highly concerning. I'll give you an example from Canada a couple of months ago. You guys know para athletes, right? You know the Olympics, and you got the Paralympics with the people that are handy capable. They do their own special events and stuff like that. So this lady was a Paralympian, okay? She's got a chairlift at her house. This is in Canada. She's got a chairlift in her house, and her chairlift broke. So she wrote to the medical people. She said, hey, I need a new chairlift, blah, blah, blah. They said, have you considered medical assisted induced departure? She said, what? Go look it up. Go look it up, because I'm not making this stuff up. And this is what's going to be coming to America. It is already here, and people need to wake up. Another thing I just read today, and this goes into another section of the topic, which is the sexualization of children, which is a very, very core, near and dear thing to my heart, because for me, sex is a very important act in life. And when you're trying to sexualize children, it is not a very positive thing at all. So they need to be taught critical thinking skills. They need to be taught what it is to be an adult. They need to be taught about healthy relationships. They need to be taught about healthy sexual relationships. They need to be taught about longevity of relationships and why it's important. And they need to be taught about how to reproduce and why reproduction is important, and why two parents in one family are important. What's Kevin say? Kevin says, and then employment is going to be impossible to obtain if you do not comply. That's 100% right, Kevin. That's a whole nother section of craziness, right? That's going to be and anyway, I don't want to get into that part. I've already moved on. Just I'll try to scuttle back to that, Kevin. But with them trying to do that right there, and basically what'll happen is this. So as we've got more and more children that are getting introduced to these drag shows for kids, Drag Time Story Hour and stuff like that, they are being pushed down a path that is more hypersexualized. Now, it's not even just that. Now, remember, these things are in tandem, okay? They're all happening at the same time. They're pushing these books. It's okay to be gay. It's what's some of the other that's a book. I can't even remember some of the names of the books, but you can go look some of them up. They're online. It won't be hard for you to find some of the explicit material that they're trying to put into schools and in the public libraries. Basically, what it is teaching children about sex. Okay, there's a bill in New York State that the senator adjacent to my district, Summer Brook, tried to push through the last year, which basically allowed them to teach sexualization to children in 2nd and 3rd grade. Is out of control, right? Like, and there's bills to teach even younger kids that, and it teaches them how to have anal and oral sex in elementary school. Are you out of control or what? I saw one of the surveys that they were doing in a classroom that was in a nearby school district, and it said, this was for preteens, right? When was the first time that you've had sex? This is for like 10-year-olds. Like, one of the ladies that had their kid in the class that gave it to them, that the kid took a picture and sent it to them. The girl was 10 years old. You're asking them when's the first time that they had sex? Are you outside of your mind? What are you trying to teach these kids? What are you trying to corral these kids into thinking is okay? Why are you trying to normalize the sexualization of children at such a young age when you're not teaching them about consensual relationships, when you're not teaching them about the importance of families and the importance of longevity in relationships, when you're not teaching them about right? Like, you're not teaching them critical thinking skills, right? And they've got this whole laissez-faire attitude on sex, like sexual liberation, let everybody have sex with everybody. It's out of control. It's unacceptable. We need to go back to teaching chastity and purity, honestly. And people say, oh, well, sexual freedom, liberation, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, maybe, sure, fine, whatever. Okay, for children that are out of school, for people that are married, for people that are of marrying age, and that's a whole nother conversation, right? Like, I'm single, okay? I'm looking for somebody in marrying age. Well, Marcus, what's marrying age? Marrying age is between 13 and 34, okay? That's of marrying age. I mean, excuse me, not 13, 18 and 34. Traditionally, though, and this is what I wanted to talk about, that's why I had it in my head. Traditionally, you would have marriages at 13, right? Now, marrying age is 18 to 34. But let's go take this back to the schooling, right? So if you were a 13-year-old in school right now, okay, they haven't taught you critical thinking. You are not prepared to go into the workforce. You are not prepared mentally to deal with the general adult atmosphere that you would have 30, 40 years ago, okay? or even more so traditionally throughout literally the whole history of mankind up until the early 19th century. You know what I'm saying? Or 20th century, right? Because it's always 100 years ahead. So it's really, really concerning because normally you got, what do you got? Bat mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Excuse me. But you got quinceañeras, you got sweet 16s. These are when the children become adults. Okay. And you've got similar things across the world. Okay. Similar rites of passage and stuff like that across the world. But in America, they've made it so that the youth at those ages are not prepared to be adults at all. They're still infantile in mind. I was watching something the other day. The guy was like, he was like, he said he's 35, but he's really like 14. And it's funny, but it's not funny, you guys, because I don't feel like he was telling a story, because that's how they've got people mentally depressed. Okay. Depressed, not like depression, depressed, like held down, held back. Okay. That's why you got all these adults out here acting like children. That's why you got people in their 40s right now acting like they 14, 15. Okay. These are real things that are going on. They are not preparing the youth for adulthood. So then by the time they get into school, now in elementary school, you want to sexualize the children, teach them about anal, oral sex, and all types of other crazy stuff. It's just abhorrent. But then they want to also teach them that you should be sexualized by taking them to drag shows and stuff like that. So now you're taking the real young kids into the drag shows and stuff, and these sexually explicit performances, and then you're teaching them at school about anal and oral sex. What? Put 2 + 2, okay, is still 4. Okay, 2 + 2 is still 4. If you're teaching them at a young age in elementary school and below about all this hypersexualization by taking them to a sexually oriented drag show, which is what they all are, okay, erotic performances. Okay, children ain't got no business being there, like they ain't got no business being at the strip club. So you're taking them to these performances, and then in school they're learning about anal and oral sex. Are you absolutely serious? Are you serious with yourself? Okay, put those two things together. What do you think that the kids are going to do, that they're not going to be getting it on? And that's when the pedophilia creeps in, right? Because now they're trying to normalize pedophilia. They call them MAPs, minor attracted people. I was reading an article the other day. I wish I could remember what piece of news it was from, but the article was asking, it said, is attraction, is pedophilia a oh my goodness, how did it phrase it? Because the way that it phrased it was crazy. Is pedophilia a sexual orientation? You guys, is pedophilia a sexual orientation? Like, are you serious right now? This is the stuff that you're pushing. This is what they're pushing, you guys. Okay, so they're trying to really get the children. They are really trying to come after the children and sexualize them and do terrible, horrible, nasty stuff to them that is beyond their reasoning and comprehension to comply or not to comply with, because they're normalizing it to make them think that it's okay. This is grooming at the highest level. Okay, that is what's going on. You need to pay attention to the bills that they're passing. You need to pay attention to what's being taught in these schools. If you can, homeschool your children. Homeschool your children. If you can, homeschool your children. I'm going to say it again. If you can, homeschool your children. Go to your school board meetings. Find out what the children are being taught. Spend a day in in some of the classes. Stop in every couple months see what the hell the kids are being taught. Okay, make sure that your children know what right and wrong is and what they should or should not be learning at school, and that they report back to you everything that's going on in those schools, because they will teach them some crazy stuff. Now, I'll give you an example. This very liberal lady, right? This very liberal lady in Texas said a new charter school opened up and she was going to send her kid there because the charter school was about diversity, inclusion, and equity, right? Which is funny that diversity, inclusion, and equity spells die, because that's what they want you to do. But that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, so the school was supposed to be about that. She sent her daughter to the school, right? And at the school, they made her daughter participate in a game in which the daughter was to be a prostitute in the game at the school. and I can't remember how old the daughter was, but she's like what a preteen the daughter was, and they tried to put her in a game where she was to be a prostitute at the school. You guys need to wake up. This is really happening. This is really going on. Now, to touch on that and to link all of this back together with the rest of the stuff we were just talking about, New York State is pushing for them to legalize sex work. I can't with these people, bro. I can't with these people. Not because legalizing sex work isn't the thing to do, but because of all the other crazy pedophilia-esque and sexualization of children that they're trying to push, because I know where this is going to go. So for years and years and years, you saw that, Kevin? Yeah. So for years and years and years, I've been pro legalization of sex work, right? Because that's one of the oldest professions in the world. I know you're like, well, Marcus, you're a Christian, you shouldn't be for that or whatever. There are prostitutes in the Bible. Okay, the prostitution isn't the actual problem. It's all the things that go along with prostitution that end up being the sin. Anyway, that's a whole separate conversation, but not everybody's Christian. I'm not trying to get into that whole conversation very deep right on this instance, but I wanted to talk about this because they're trying to legalize sex work. I agree with sex work being legal. The problem is I see them trying to sexualize these kids, and I know that means that they're going to try to bring that into the children and get the children into the sex force and sex working and stuff like that. I know exactly what they're going to do, which is why I cannot be for it. I mean, there's no way I could go for that because I know there's already sexualizing the kids. I know that they're pushing this pedophilia. I've seen it. I know it. And I know that they're going to use that to even further push the pedophilia to another whole new level. And you guys, you need to wake up because this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is what's coming. Okay. They've got all of these different people, okay, trying to make sex work legal. These are the same people that want to take away your gun. These are the same people that are letting all the criminals out on the street. These are the same people that want to teach your kids and sexualize your kids in school. These are the same people that want to say that pedophilia and minor attracted people are part of the alphabet community now. These are the same people that want to say that sex workers should be included on the pride flag. They did that already, actually. Now the pride flag now has a red umbrella on there for sex workers. It's out of control. It's out of control, you guys. It's absolutely out of control. It's absolutely beyond reasoning. And people need to wake up. And like I said before, please like, share this video, whatever platform you're on, like, share, and follow. Okay. And please, if you can, let other people know, because I don't know how long I'll be able to talk about stuff like this. I don't generally talk about a lot of this stuff in depth like I'm talking about today, but I'm very concerned that soon we won't be able to talk about anything at all. So I also encourage you to check out my shop. I got a link to it on the page on the screen right now. One of the really awesome hoodies that we have says, "I will not participate in your psychosis." I love that one. You guys should also check out the rest of our merch that we got there. Check us out. So now, with everything else that we've got going on in our country right now, and especially in New York State, I encourage you, please pay attention to what's going on. Make sure that you're letting other people know what's going on. And if you are, you'll say, Marcus, well, what should I do? What can I do to help push back against what's going on? What can I do to help actually prevent what's happening? Here's what I would suggest to you. I'd suggest to you, make sure that if you are registered into a party, no matter what state that you're in, that you find your local committee. So if you're a Democrat, find your local Democratic committee. If you're a Republican, find your local Republican committee. If libertarians are still a officiated party in your state, Libertarian Party. If you're a conservative party. If you're working family's party. Find your local committee. You'll either have one on the city, town, or county level. Okay, some places don't have it on the town or a city level. You'll have it on the county level. Check it out on your county level. If you don't have a county level, because I know some of them don't, like, I don't think our working family parties for New York State has a county level, but they have a state level. Please find it, so that way that you can start to have a say on the candidates and a say on crafting the legislation and stuff that these people are talking about in their different committees and stuff like that, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to actually start to have a voice, to start to chip away at what's going on, that what's being forced upon us. It's very, very serious. And if we don't do it now, then there will not be a time later to do any of this. I encourage you all, make sure you find out where your local committee is, work hard to join them, and start to push forward common sense that's going to be able to help to stave off what's being done. Not hyper aggressive action, because that's not going to be any good. Okay. That'll be very bad. Okay. Like some people do. They'll be like, oh, let's go tear stuff up. Let's go be a rebel rouser. Let's burn stuff down. People say stuff like that. That's unacceptable. You do not perform those behaviors. Okay. You don't. You have to be very even tempered. You have to be very, very meticulous with the way in which you present your arguments and how you do what you present what you want to do. If you do not, we will not get the results that we need. You'll end up with anarchists and crazy nihilists that want nothing more than to see the world burn. We can't have that. We must come to reason. A return to reason is the direction that we need to go. And I encourage you all to encourage your friends, encourage your family to start to take more active roles in participation in government. Okay, go to your local go to your local city council meetings, go to your local town board meetings, go to your local fire district meetings, go to your local county ledge meetings. Hell, watch your state assembly meetings online. They're all online for most states now. Watch your state senate meetings. They're all online. Watch the federal senate meetings. Watch the federal House of Representative meetings. They're all online. You can watch these things and you can start to understand what's going on in your government. You got to start paying attention to what the government is doing. If you do not know what the government is doing, you can't warn people. You can't prepare yourself. We got to really pay attention to everything that's going on, because there is so much going on. You can very, very easily miss out on everything. It's so, so important. If you do not start to get more active, it will be on you. Everything that happens, you won't be able to tell your children or tell the people in the future that you tried to do something to prevent what was going on. And like I said, it's not time for hyper aggressive action, which many people will try to arouse you to take. Don't take that path, because it's not even remotely going to be helpful. Now, what my last consideration would be is get involved with a campaign of a local official that you believe in, that you believe has the values or will champion your values or will stand up for your values that you think are right and will help us through the impending crisis that is coming. This is a real thing. This is a real problem. 2030 is right around the corner. People are going to be homeless. They're going to be destitute, and the wealth gap is going to balloon out of control. And there will be riots, and there will be a whole nother revolution, basically. And that's why they're trying to curtail social media. That's why they're trying to curtail firearms ownership. That's why they're trying to get rid of the police. That's why they're trying to create a national police force. That's why they're doing a lot of these things all at one time. And there's other stuff that I could talk about. The fact that they've gotten rid of so much of our military's munitions and stuff like that. There's some very other shady stuff going on that I'd really love to talk about at another point, which I probably will, just not tonight. But for this, I'm going to leave you with this. Make sure that you check out my website for the merch that we got. QR code is on the screen. It's amapparel.us, American made apparel. So we put everything together here in Rochester mostly. Most of the stuff that almost all of the clothes that we source are from American companies. And that's the website right on the screen. You can scan the QR code or go to amapparel.us. So I encourage you guys. This is my last thing before I go. Throat's getting a little bit dry. Drink water, stay hydrated. Make sure you encourage everybody. And when I say everybody, friends, family, hell, encourage some enemies that are similar minded, because we're going to need to unite as many people as we can around the cause to save the future that's coming. We need to save our future. That's what's going on. Okay. This is a battle that is between the tippy top of the pyramid and literally everybody else. That's what it is. It's a tippy top of the pyramid, the super elites, the super affluent, and everybody else. I really wish that most of our elected officials, especially the people in the state Senate and the state assembly, would understand that this is a game against them too, and that they will not be able to stay in the positions in which they're in when all of this turnover gets turned over, because they won't be needed anymore. They'll be the first ones to go. People need to get together now. Okay. Help candidates that you think are going to be good. Do what you can. Start coordinating with other people, friends, family, and everything, because this is what's going to need to be done. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. And I'm going to encourage you, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed. Be well. Remember to share, like, and follow. I'll catch you guys later.